My phone buzzed while I was sitting in my truck outside Home Depot, a bag of paint rollers and brushes on the passenger seat. I had just bought supplies to repaint my hallway. I glanced down at the screen. It said, "Your mortgage payment of $2,847 has been processed." I stared at that message for a long minute. That mortgage was not for my house. My house had been paid off for 20 years. That payment was for my son's place. The 4-bedroom colonial out in the suburbs. The one he and his wife could not really afford, even though both of them worked full-time. The house I agreed to co-sign for 3 years ago because my son sat across from me and said, "Dad, we need the space if we are going to have kids." That house. The same house where, apparently, I was no longer welcome. I learned that the day before. But I should start from the beginning. My name is Thomas Walker. I am 63 years old. I retired after 35 years as a mechanical engineer at Boeing. I am not a complicated man. I worked hard. I paid my bills. I tried to do right by my family. My wife, Susan, died of cancer when our boy, Michael, was 12 years old. After that, it was just the two of us in that quiet house. I worked overtime whenever they would let me. I took on consulting jobs in the evenings. I said yes to every extra project. I did it so my son would not feel like losing his mother meant losing everything else too. I made sure he went to college without taking out loans. I bought him a reliable car. I showed up for every school event I could. I thought we were close. At least, I believed we were. Michael graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in finance. Later, he went back for his Master of Business Administration and took on student loans for that. He landed a solid job at a wealth management firm downtown. He was doing well. That was where he met Brittany. They met at some networking event. They dated about 8 months before he proposed. At first, I liked her. She was sharp, always put together, spoke clearly, like she had practiced it. She called me Thomas from the very first day. Never Dad, never Mr. Walker, just Thomas. I figured maybe that was just how young people did things now. Less formal, more casual. They had a small wedding 3 years ago, about 50 guests. I paid for half of it without anyone asking me to. That is just what a father does. Brittany's parents owned several medical supply stores, and they covered the other half. They also made sure everyone knew they were covering the other half. Things started to shift after the honeymoon. At first, it was small stuff. Our regular Sunday dinners started getting canceled. Brittany is not feeling well. Or, her parents invited us over. Then it turned into, we are busy looking at houses. When they found the one they wanted, the mortgage broker told them they needed a co-signer. Their debt-to-income ratio was too high. Michael still had graduate school loans. Brittany was making payments on her BMW. They earned good salaries, but not enough for a $680,000 house in Bellevue. He sat in my living room to ask me. The same room where I had taught him to play chess. The same room where we watched Seahawks games every Sunday for years. "Dad, we really need this," he said. "It is in the perfect school district. We are planning to start a family soon. This house is our future." So I signed. Of course I signed. And when I saw the strain on his face the first month that payment came due, I started covering half of it. $2,847 every month. On time. Every time. For 3 years. I had my pension. I received Social Security. I still picked up consulting work now and then. I lived simply. I did not need much. What mattered to me was their future. The real problem started about a year ago when Brittany got pregnant. I was over the moon. I drove straight to a furniture store and bought a crib and a changing table. Had them delivered to their house as a surprise. That night, Michael called. "Dad," he said, and he sounded tense. "Brittany is upset. She had a whole theme planned for the nursery. The furniture you bought does not match. She has been crying all evening." My heart sank. "I am sorry," I told him. "I did not know. I can return it." "It is fine. We donated it to Goodwill. Just, next time, maybe ask first." I apologized. Told myself I should have checked before doing anything. When my grandson, Ethan, was born, I drove to the hospital right away. I brought flowers for Brittany and a stuffed bear for the baby. When I walked into the room, her parents were already there. Her mother was holding Ethan. Her father was snapping photographs. "Thomas," Brittany said from the hospital bed. Her voice was flat. "We are doing immediate family only right now. We will let you know when visiting hours open." I looked at Michael. He would not look at me. "I am immediate family," I said quietly. "I am his grandfather. We are keeping it to parents and siblings for now," her mother said, not even glancing up from the baby. "Hospital policy." It was not hospital policy. I knew that, but I left anyway. I sat in the cafeteria for 3 hours. Finally, Michael sent me a message. Maybe come back tomorrow, Dad. Brittany needs to rest. I went back the next day. I held Ethan for about 10 minutes before Brittany said she was tired. I remember looking down at that tiny face in my hands and feeling something inside my chest split a little. Over the next year, I saw my grandson maybe once a month. Short visits, always scheduled around Brittany's preferences. If I asked about having Ethan at my house for an afternoon, Michael would say, Brittany is not comfortable with that yet. He is still very young. He was walking, saying little words. And when he looked at me, it was like I was a neighbor, not his grandfather. 2 weeks ago, Michael sent me a text message. Not a call. A text. Hey Dad, Ethan's first birthday party is Saturday at 2 in the afternoon. Small gathering. Just close family. I wrote back right away. I will be there. Should I bring anything? Just yourself, he replied. I went out and bought a wooden train set. The same kind I had once bought for Michael when he was a little boy. I spent 2 full days putting it together. I sanded rough edges, tightened every screw, made sure it was perfect. On Saturday, I put on a clean button-down shirt. I placed the big wrapped box carefully in my car. It took 23 minutes to drive to their house in Bellevue. Their house, the one I was helping pay for. I pulled into the neighborhood at 1:55 in the afternoon. The driveway was already packed. For vehicles, I recognized Brittany's parents' Lexus parked along the curb. I picked up the gift and walked up the front path. Before I even rang the bell, I could hear it through the door. Music, laughter, children shouting. The party was already in full swing. I rang the doorbell, waited, rang it again. The door opened. Brittany stood there wearing a designer dress, holding Ethan on her hip. He had on a tiny bow tie. Behind her, I saw blue and gold balloons. A banner that read, Ethan is one. At least 15 people filled the living room. Thomas, she said. Not hello. Not come in. Just my name. Hi, Brittany. Happy birthday, Ethan. I held out the gift. She did not reach for it. I am sorry, she said. There must have been some confusion. The party started at noon. We sent a message yesterday about the time change. You remember? Right there on the porch, I pulled out my phone and showed her the message. It says 2 in the afternoon. She barely looked at it. That is odd. Everyone else got the update. Anyway, we are wrapping up now. We already did cake and presents. But thank you for thinking of Ethan. Wrapping up. It was 2 in the afternoon. Brittany, who is at the door? I heard Michael call out. He came into view and saw me. His face changed. I saw it plain as day. Guilt. Dad, he said. Did you not get the message about the time change? What time change? I asked. You told me to. Brittany shifted Ethan to her other hip. Thomas, we really need to get back to our guests. It is a little chaotic with all the children. Maybe you can visit another day. We will schedule something. I looked past them again. I saw her parents, her sister and brother-in-law, people I did not even recognize, all of them celebrating my grandson's first birthday. Michael, I said, can I speak with you for a minute? He hesitated. Dad, this is not a good time. 1 minute. He stepped outside and pulled the door mostly closed behind him. Through the window, I could see Brittany watching us. What is going on? I asked him. Why are you doing this? Doing what? You know exactly what. I showed up at the time you gave me. That party has been going on for 2 hours. There was no message about a change. He rubbed his face with both hands. Look, he said, keeping his voice low. Brittany wanted something more intimate. Just her family and our close friends. I am your father, I said. I know, he answered quickly. And you can see Ethan anytime. Just not today, all right? Today is complicated. Complicated how? I asked him. I could feel my chest tightening. I pay half your mortgage, Michael. I helped you buy this house. And I cannot even attend my own grandson's first birthday party? He lowered his voice and glanced back at the front door. Can we not do this right now? Brittany is already stressed. You showing up is making it worse. Showing up? I said. You invited me. I know. He looked over his shoulder again. I have to go. We will talk later. He stepped back inside. The door shut in my face. Through the window, I watched him say something to Brittany. She shook her head, turned, and walked away. He stood there for a second like he was stuck between 2 worlds. Then he followed her. I stood on that porch holding a wooden train set for my grandson. Behind me, another car pulled up. More guests arriving. For a party I was not welcome at. I walked back to my car and sat there. Through their big front window, I could see everyone laughing and talking. Ethan was being passed from one set of arms to another, everybody getting a turn to hold him. Everybody except his grandfather. I drove home without turning on the radio. When I got back, I carried the train set into my garage and set it on a shelf. Then I went inside and sat in my living room. On the wall were pictures of my life. Michael as a baby wrapped in a blue blanket. Michael on his first day of kindergarten with a backpack too big for him. Michael in his cap and gown at high school graduation. Michael at his wedding. In every wedding photo, I noticed something I had not paid attention to before. I was always at the edge of the frame, slightly cut off, like an afterthought. My phone buzzed. A message from Michael. Sorry about today. Let's grab dinner next week. I did not answer. 3 days later, on Tuesday, my phone rang while I was in my workshop building a bookshelf. The screen said Brittany. I wiped the sawdust off my hands and answered. Hello. Hi, Thomas, she said brightly. Quick question. Did you make this month's mortgage payment? The bank sent us a notice that it is late. I had just made a cut with the circular saw. I stopped mid-motion. The payment processes automatically on the 15th, I said. Today is the 19th. You should have received confirmation 4 days ago. Well, we did not get anything, she replied. Can you check on that? We really cannot afford to have a late payment hurt our credit. I will look into it, I said. Great, she answered quickly. Oh, and one more thing. The Homeowners Association dues went up. It is an extra $150 a month now. Could you cover that too? We are a little tight this month with all the birthday party expenses. I slowly set the saw down. The party on Saturday? I asked. Yes, she said with a little laugh. Children's parties are expensive. You would not believe what a balloon artist costs these days. The party I was not invited to. There was a short silence. Thomas, she said, her tone changing. We have already talked about this. It was a misunderstanding about the time. There was no updated message, I said calmly. You never sent one. I did send it. I am sorry if you did not receive it. Technology can be unreliable. Anyway, about the Homeowners Association increase. No, I said. Another pause. I am not paying the increased dues. This pause lasted longer. I see, she said finally. Well, Michael and I will have to discuss that. We plan our budget around your contribution. If you suddenly change the arrangement, that puts us in a difficult position. The arrangement where I pay half your mortgage and still get excluded from family events? I asked. That is not fair, Thomas, she replied sharply. We appreciate everything you do, but you cannot use money to control our lives or decide who we invite to private gatherings. I almost laughed out loud. Control your lives? Brittany, I have never asked you for anything. Not recognition, not praise, not even a simple thank you. I only wanted to be part of my grandson's life. You are part of his life, she said. But we have boundaries. We are Ethan's parents. We decide what is best for him. If you cannot respect that, then maybe we need to reconsider this entire financial situation. Maybe we do, I said. Her voice went cold. Fine. I will let Michael know you are withdrawing your financial support. I am sure he will be very interested to hear that his father is abandoning his family over a scheduling mix-up. She hung up. I stood there in my workshop surrounded by sawdust and half-finished furniture. 30 years of spending Christmas alone so my son could wake up to new bicycles and game systems. 15 years of cheap dinners so he could wear nice clothes to school. 3 years of making mortgage payments on a house where I was not welcome. My phone rang again. Michael. I answered. Dad, what is going on? He demanded. Brittany said you are cutting us off. I said I would not pay the increase in the Homeowners Association dues. I replied. It is $150. You are really going to blow everything up over $150? This is not about the money, Michael. Then what is it about? Because from my perspective, it looks like you are punishing us because you are upset about the party. I am upset because you lied to me, I said. You deliberately gave me the wrong time. That is not true. It was a mistake. Was it also a mistake to tell me it was just close family when there were 20 people there? Silence. Am I not close family? I asked. I am not your father anymore. Of course you are, he said quickly. You are being dramatic. I pay half your mortgage. I helped you secure that house. I have never asked for anything in return except to be part of your life. Part of Ethan's life. And you cannot even give me that. We are not keeping you from seeing him. Seeing him once a month for 10 minutes while Brittany stands there checking her watch. That is not a relationship. That is a photo opportunity. What do you want from us? He snapped. I realized my hand was clenched so tight around the phone it hurt. I want you to treat me like I matter, I said. Like I am not just a bank account that occasionally shows up and has to be tolerated. We do not think of you that way. Then why was I not at my grandson's birthday? Another long silence. Finally he spoke. Brittany's family is very important to her. Her parents are very involved. They can be sensitive. She did not want any tension on Ethan's special day. So you chose them over me. I chose my wife, he said. That is what a husband does. Even when your wife is wrong. She is not wrong. She is Ethan's mother. She gets to make these decisions. And I get to make none? This conversation is not helping. I will talk to Brittany about scheduling more visits. But you need to continue your part of the mortgage. We have an agreement. We do not have a legal agreement, I said. I co-signed because I love you. The payments I have been making were a gift. And gifts can stop. Dad, I have to go. He hung up. I turned my phone off and sat there in the quiet of my workshop. That night, I could not sleep. At 2 in the morning, I got up and went into my home office. I started pulling out files. The mortgage documents. The payment records. 3 years. In total, I had paid $102,492 into that house. Money that could have gone toward renovating my own place. Traveling. Making my retirement more comfortable. I kept digging. I read through old emails and text messages. Every time I had offered help. Every time they had replied yes, thank you. Every time I had asked to see Ethan and got, maybe next week, or Brittany is not sure, or we will play it by ear. I checked my calendar. In the past year, I had seen my grandson 14 times. The average visit lasted 23 minutes. I logged into my bank account and looked at the automatic transfer scheduled for the 15th of the following month. Another $2,847. I canceled it. Then I opened my email and wrote to my attorney, James Porter. We had gone to high school together. He handled my wife's estate when she passed. I kept the message simple. James, I need to discuss my options regarding a cosign mortgage. Can we meet this week? He responded within an hour, even though it was 3 in the morning. Thursday at 10 in the morning. Bring everything. On Thursday, I carried a thick folder into his office overlooking Lake Washington. He read through the documents carefully. So, he said at last, you are listed as a cosigner. You have been making regular, substantial payments. But there is no formal written agreement requiring you to pay half the mortgage. Just messages where they asked for help and you agreed. That is correct, I said. Help turned into half the mortgage every month for 3 years. He leaned back in his chair and looked at me. Thomas, I have to ask. Are you certain about this? This is your son. Your grandson. I know exactly who they are, I said. James looked at me across his desk. This could destroy what is left of your relationship with them, Thomas. There is no relationship, I said. I am a checkbook they occasionally remember to greet. He nodded slowly. All right, here are your options. As a cosigner, you are legally responsible for the debt if they default. But the payments you have been making? Those are considered gifts. Unless you have something showing they were loans. What if I want them to be loans? I asked. Did you ever discuss repayment terms? I thought about it. No formal terms. But I do have messages. Emails and text messages where they asked for temporary help and said they would pay me back someday. Let me see. I handed him my phone. He read through the messages carefully and took screenshots. This is helpful, he said. The wording suggests this was not meant to be permanent support. They referred to it as temporary assistance. That gives us grounds to argue these were informal loans. You can demand repayment. You might not recover every dollar, but you can try. He leaned forward. There is another issue. You are on the mortgage. That means you are equally liable. If you want off that mortgage, Michael and Brittany will need to refinance in their names only. Can they? I asked. Maybe. Maybe not. Their income has to qualify. If it does not, they will have to sell the house. I pictured that house. The perfect school district. The dream. The place where I never truly felt welcome. Pursue both, I said. I want the money I paid back. And I want off that mortgage. James studied me for a long moment. This will get ugly. It is already ugly, I said. I am just putting it in writing. He drafted a formal demand letter. It stated that I was seeking repayment of $102,492, plus interest, based on documented evidence that the payments were loans. It also demanded that I be removed from the mortgage within 60 days, or the property would need to be sold. Are you certain? He asked, his finger hovering over the send button. I thought about Ethan. About how he barely recognized me. About how I was fading from his life. Send it. The letter went out Friday afternoon by certified mail. Michael called me Saturday morning at 6:47. I was in my kitchen making coffee. I looked at the caller identification and thought about ignoring it. I answered, "Good morning, Michael." "Do not good morning me," he snapped. "We just received a legal letter saying you are demanding over $100,000. Are you out of your mind? You cannot do this." "I can't," I said calmly. James Porter reviewed the documentation. "The messages are clear. The payments were loans." "Loans," he said. "Dad, you offered to help. We never signed anything agreeing to pay you back." I poured my coffee and put the phone on speaker. "You wrote, 'Thanks for helping temporarily. We will pay you back when we get on our feet.' You wrote, 'Just until we stabilize.' Those are your words." "That is just something people say," he shot back. "You are really doing this because you are upset about a birthday party?" "This is not about one party," I said. "This is about 3 years of being treated like I do not matter. 3 years of paying for a house where I am not welcome. 3 years of barely seeing my grandson. You are not being kept from him. I saw him 14 times last year," I said. 14. And most visits lasted less than half an hour. Brittany schedules me like I am a dentist appointment. She is his mother. She is protective. She is controlling, I said. And you allow it. "I am not arguing about this right now," he said. "I am calling your lawyer. We are fighting this. You cannot wreck our lives because your feelings are hurt." "I am not wrecking anything. I am stopping payments. If that wrecks your life, then maybe it was built on the wrong foundation." The call ended. I do not remember who disconnected first. On Sunday, Brittany called. She was crying. "Thomas, please. We have a baby. We cannot lose our house." I was in my garden pulling weeds. I put her on speaker and kept working. "Then refinance in your own names." "We cannot. The bank already told us our income is not enough. Not with Michael's student loans and my car payment. We need you on that mortgage." "Then sell the house." "Sell it," she said, her voice breaking. "This is Ethan's home. His room is here. His life is here." "I did not force you to buy a house you could not afford," I said. "I did not force you to buy a luxury car. I did not tell you to plan your life around my bank account. But you offered to help." "I wanted to help," I said. Past tense. "I wanted to be a grandfather. I wanted to belong. But you made it clear I am not family. I am funding." "That is not true." "Then why was I not at Ethan's birthday party?" Silence. Then quietly she said, "I thought there would be too many people. I thought you would feel uncomfortable." "You thought wrong." "Please," she said. "I am sorry. I will do better. We can set up regular weekly visits. I promise." "No." "What do you mean no?" "I do not want scheduled time slots where you watch the clock. I wanted to be someone Ethan runs to when I walk in. Someone who takes him to the park. Someone who matters." "You do matter." "Then show me. Refinance without me. Pay me back. Prove that I am more than a wallet." She cried harder. "We cannot do those things." "Then we have a problem." I ended the call. I blocked their numbers. I went back to my garden. On Monday afternoon, James called. Michael's attorney reached out. They want to negotiate. "What are they offering?" "They will acknowledge the money as loans and set up a payment plan. $500 per month until it is paid off. In exchange, you remain on the mortgage and do not force a sale." I did the math in my head. $500 a month on $102,000? That is over 17 years. "Approximately," James said. "I am 63, I replied. "In 17 years I will be 80. No. Full repayment within 6 months, or they sell the house. They likely cannot produce that kind of money." "That is not my problem," I said. "They should have considered that before shutting me out of my grandson's life." He was quiet. "I will convey your terms. But if they lose the house, your relationship with your son may never recover." "It is already gone," I said. "I am just acknowledging it." The next 2 weeks were chaos. Michael found ways around the block and sent messages from different numbers. Brittany's parents called and left angry voicemails. Her mother accused me of destroying their daughter's future. Her father threatened legal action for emotional distress. I changed my phone number. For the first time in a long while, I slept through the night. Then on a Tuesday, James called again. They have agreed to sell. I felt something shift in my chest. It was not relief. It was not victory. It was emptiness. "The house goes on the market next week," he continued. "They are moving into a 2-bedroom apartment in Renton. That is what they can afford on their own. Once the sale closes, you will receive repayment from the equity after the bank is satisfied." "All right," I said. "There is one more thing. Michael wants to meet in person. He says there are things he needs to say." I thought about that for a long time. "When?" I asked. "This Saturday at 2 in the afternoon." I almost laughed at the time. Tell him I will be there. Saturday came. I drove to the house in Bellevue. A large for sale sign was already planted in the front yard. I pulled into the driveway. Only Michael's Honda was there. He opened the door before I knocked. He looked worn down, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. Dad. Michael. We stood there awkwardly, like strangers who shared a history. Come in, he said. The house was half-packed. Boxes stacked along the walls. Ethan's toys piled in corners. Picture frames removed, leaving pale rectangles on the paint. We sat in the living room. The same room where I had never really felt invited before. Brittany is at her parents' house, he said. I wanted to talk to you alone. All right. He rubbed his face with both hands. I messed up, he said quietly. I stayed silent. I let us treat you like you did not matter. Michael kept talking. I told myself Brittany was just stressed, or protective, or adjusting to being a mother. But the truth is, I chose the easy road. It was easier to keep her happy than to stand up for you. That makes me a coward. Yes, I said. It does. He flinched, but he did not argue. There was no time change for the birthday party, he went on. She told me to text you 2 in the afternoon, even though the party started at noon. She said her father wanted to give a speech, and he gets nervous if there are too many people he does not control. She did not want you there. I went along with it because I did not want to fight with her. You chose her comfort over my presence, I said. Yes. At your son's first birthday. Yes. He looked me straight in the eye. I do not have an excuse. I was wrong. Not just that day. For 3 years. I took your money. I took your help. And I gave you nothing back. Not even basic respect. I stood up and walked to the window. I looked out at the backyard. The perfect lawn. The little play structure they had installed for Ethan. Why now? I asked without turning around. Why tell me this now, when the house is already gone? Because Brittany left me. I turned around slowly. What? 2 days ago. She said she cannot be with someone who cannot provide the life she deserves. She filed for divorce. She is moving in with her parents and taking Ethan with her. I will get him every other weekend if I am lucky. I sat back down. She was never going to let you be part of Ethan's life, he said quietly. I see that now. She saw you as money. Then she saw you as a threat. And I was too weak to stop it. Michael, I started. No, he said. Let me finish. Losing the house. I earned that. Losing Brittany? Probably for the best. But losing you, that is the part one cannot live with. I know I do not have the right to ask, but I am asking anyway. Is there any way we can fix this? I looked at my son. I saw the boy who lost his mother at 12. The young man I had tried so hard to raise right. The grown man who had failed in ways that cut deep. I do not know, I said honestly. You hurt me. Not just a little. Deeply. And it is not only about money. It is about being treated like I did not belong in my own grandson's life. I know, he said. He was crying now. Dad, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. We sat there in silence. The house creaked around us. A house we had both paid for. A house we had both lost, just in different ways. I am not going to lie, I said after a while. We cannot go back to what we were. Too much has happened. I understand. But maybe, I continued, we can build something new, something honest, where you do not take advantage of me, and I do not enable you. He looked up at that. I want that. If we try, I said, there are conditions. Anything. First, you get therapy. You figure out why you could not stand up to your wife. You fix that before you repeat it. Okay. Second, if you get joint custody of Ethan, I get to be his grandfather. A real one, not a scheduled obligation. Yes, absolutely. Third, you pay me back. Not all at once. But we create a real payment plan. Something reasonable. And you stick to it. I will. And fourth, I said, holding his eyes, you never let anyone make you choose between them and me again. Next time, you choose me. Because I was there when your mother died. I raised you. I loved you when you had nothing to offer me but a grieving 12-year-old's heart. Do not forget that. He was fully sobbing now. I will not forget. I promise. We both stood. For a second, we just looked at each other. Then I pulled him into a hug. He folded into me like he had when he was a kid and scraped his knee. Like he had when we buried his mother. I am sorry, he kept saying. I am so sorry. I know, I told him. I know you are. We stood there in that half-empty house, trying to remember how to be father and son. That was 4 months ago. Michael moved into a small one-bedroom apartment in Renton. He started therapy twice a week. He picked up weekend work doing tax preparation to start paying me back faster. Every month, He sends me $300. It is not a lot compared to what I gave, but it is steady, and it is earned. It is not taken for granted. Brittany filed for divorce. The custody fight has been rough. Her lawyers tried to paint me as a bitter grandfather who destroyed their dream home. Michael's attorney presented the messages, the pattern of exclusion. The judge did not seem impressed with her version of events. Last week, Michael was granted expanded visitation. Every Wednesday evening and every other weekend. On Wednesdays, he brings Ethan to my house. The first visit, Ethan did not know who I was. He cried when Michael stepped into another room. The second visit, he let me read him a story. The third time, he asked for the cookies I had baked. Last Wednesday, when Michael's car pulled into my driveway, Ethan pointed at my house and said, "Gamp." His version of Grandpa. When I opened the door, he ran to me. After they left that night, I sat in my kitchen and cried. Not the heavy, lonely kind of tears. The good kind. Michael and I are rebuilding slowly. Every Sunday morning, we meet at the same diner we used to go to when he was little. We eat pancakes and drink too much coffee. We talk about Ethan, about work, about football, ordinary things. He is different now, more direct, less afraid of difficult conversations. Last week, he told me Brittany had asked him to put in a good word with me about letting her move back in with him. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her if she wants something from you, she can ask you herself. I am not her messenger anymore. I nodded. Good. She has not asked, he said. I do not think she will. That is fine, I said. I do not need an apology from her. You do not. I thought about it. No, I need her to be a good mother to Ethan. That is all. The rest is between her and her conscience. He smiled a little. When did you get so wise? About 3 years too late, I said. We both laughed. I still live in the same house. I still do some consulting work, though I am slowing down. I spend more time in my workshop now. I tracked down the family who bought that train set from Goodwill and bought it back from them. It sits in my spare room along with other toys I've picked up. Michael told me that when his lease ends, he plans to move into a 2-bedroom place. 1 room for him, 1 for Ethan. Nothing fancy, he said. Just something we can afford. Sounds perfect, I told him. Last night, I received an email from James. The final payment from the sale of the house cleared. After fees and the bank's portion, I recovered $98,000 of the money I had put in. Close enough. I transferred $30,000 into a trust fund for Ethan's college education. Michael does not know. I will tell him when Ethan is older. The rest, I am keeping. Maybe I will travel. Maybe I will finally remodel my kitchen. Or maybe I will just enjoy the comfort of knowing I do not have to save anyone anymore. Here's what I learned. You cannot buy your way into someone's heart. You cannot purchase respect. And you cannot mortgage your dignity. For 3 years, I tried. I believed if I gave enough, sacrificed enough, they would see my worth. They would include me. They would love me the way I love them. That is not how it works. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is stop funding a relationship that drains you. Sometimes the only way to protect what matters is to let go of everything else. I do not know if Michael and I will ever be what we once were. Maybe not. Maybe we will build something smaller but stronger. Something honest. What I do know is this. I am not afraid anymore. I know my value, and I will not settle for less than that. Not for anyone. Not even for my own son. Ethan is coming over tomorrow afternoon. Michael has paperwork to handle for the divorce. I said yes. There is cookie dough in my refrigerator. The train set is ready. I picked up a few children's books at a library sale. Tomorrow, my grandson will call me Gamp. We will sit on the kitchen floor and push trains across the tracks. We will eat cookies and laugh. Tomorrow, I get to be a grandfather. And this time, I did not have to pay for it. I earned it.